Hi, I'm Coach Tristan over at Penn State Behrend College. I wanted to thank everybody that's been watching our live videos. Today, our guest we have is a 2013 graduate, MaryEllen Spooner. And there she is. How you
Hi,
doing, MaryEllen?
good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How's everything going? You're a new mother now.
I am. I am busy. I have my mom over so that I could do this because I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't know what I would do.
How is life of being a new mom?
Um, I don't sleep much anymore. Uh, but other than that, it's not been too bad. It's pretty cool to be honest. Um, to be a mom and to like actually have created a baby. So that part is pretty cool.
I remember we were walking into one of the restaurants for breakfast, and you were holding Mackenzie at the time,
Oh yeah.
and Mackenzie gurgled at you, and you're like, Coach Joe, take her back. She gurgled at me.
Yeah,
As
she
that
did that. Well, I can't give him to anybody. I have to be the one. But no, he's he's only a month old, so everything just is kind of slow of like what
right?
they do. Their existence is kind of just to survive right now. But he's a lot more alert now, which throws my husband and I off because we'll just be like, oh, he's sleeping, and then we'll look at him and he'll be like staring you down with his eyes, and we're like, okay, he's not sleeping anymore. So he definitely is gonna keep us busy, I'm sure, having a little boy. So
Oh yeah. So MaryEllen, let's see. When did you graduate? You can remember.
2013.
2013.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, you were a four-time All-American for us, correct?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think I lost.
And you are the I think if I'm correct, you are the only person, male or female, to be a four-time All-American for us.
Nice.
So which is pretty exciting in that respect. You're also a Penn State Behrend Athletics Athlete of the Year,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm correct. And for a very long time, since 2013, from 2013 till if I'm correct, not just last year, the year before. So 2018, you held the most goals record, and that was broken over the last couple of years. So that's pretty. You had a really great athletic career here at Penn State Behrend. It was lots of exciting things. But you were also here, and what were you studying again?
I went for business.
You were
So
in there
I
for business.
did, yep, I did I think it was just general business,
Okay.
and then I minored. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So after graduation, what did you do?
I went and got my
Acad-
master's. So I graduated and I went to Shippensburg University and worked on my master's in counseling. So I got a master's of science specializing in counseling, specifically to work with college students. So that's what I did. And I did that for 3 years
okay.
after graduating. Mhm.
All right. So what got you into the counseling side?
So while I was at Behrend, I also was a resident assistant during my time and was very heavily involved in that other side of my life as well. And so that kind of sparked my interest in working at a college and being involved in housing and higher education. And so basically asked my supervisor in that job, how do I do this job? And she was like, go get your master's. So I went and got my master's and been working in housing and student affairs ever since then. So kind of that's what drew me to get that and what sparked it post graduating at band.
Okay. And now, are you doing anything with water polo now, or are you retired completely from water polo?
I would say I guess I'm retired. I have always said I would get back into it maybe one day down the road. Um, but we haven't ended up anywhere yet where water polo has been available or even something that the area knows about. So I thought moving south down here, I was like, oh, I'll find water polo. Still no water polo. So I'm still searching. I have looked to do like master swimming because I did swimming as well while there, but still haven't
Yeah.
gone the aquatic route yet. So
Yep. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. You were a part of the swimming team, and I think if I'm correct, your school record in the 100 backstroke still lives, um, and whatnot. And I do remember the day that you broke a minute. That was your goal, and and you did it, and and how happy you were. So, tell me, how did Penn State Behrend prepare you for your career path, for your for the real world and such?
yeah, I think for me, Behrend just kind of shaped me a lot more than what I ever thought going to college would. And now working with college students, I am able to know how much of an impact your experience is when you're at school and what you get involved in and the people you surround yourself with. And I would say, like, over my time at Behrend, I learned a lot of valuable lessons and learned a lot of growth in academic, sports, personal, everything that I think if I had gone anywhere else, and I looked at other schools, but, before choosing Behrend, but I think if I hadn't gone to Behrend, I wouldn't have shaped myself to the person I am now. And preparing me for like real world, I think I went to school about 7.5, almost 7.5 hours from my family without a car, and like for my first 2 years. And so that like pushed me outside my comfort zones in like a good way. And being on a D3 team for me was most beneficial because when you recruited me there, one of the things you said is you'll still be a student, you'll still have a life, you'll do sports too, but you'll have all those things. And I really did get that. And I don't think I would have gotten that going to another school, because I think it was just valued more to be a whole person versus just an athlete or just a student. And so for me, that definitely, it all kind of shaped me in different ways, but generally just I think the experience helped develop me.
Good. Now, how did if water polo was a part of that, how did water polo help kind of prepare you for your job and real world and whatnot?
I was actually talking to my husband about this question before. I was like, I don't know how to answer this one. Because like what I would say, I worry to say, but I'm going to say it. Okay. So I would say I probably was a little bit big-headed when going into college, and had a tough temper. And that changed a lot through my 4 years there, because that wasn't, one, not tolerated to be like that on a team. And, pre-college, to explain background, is I played on a men's team. Like, that's how I learned to play water polo. I played on an all men's team. And then I went and played with females, and I was like, whoa, different ball game. Girls are intense. Guys were mainly scared of me. Like, oh gosh, there's a girl in the pool, because I was typically playing against other male teams. But being on an all-female team against other female teams, it was like neutral playing fields. And I think that's like the main thing is like Coach Joe, you're like sitting there thinking, oh yeah, I pulled her out of the pool probably this time during a game. So like I had a tough temper that needed shaped and needed, I had done sports underneath parents before. My mom was my swim coach, and then in high school water polo, I didn't have as much drive or desire. I think when I hit college is when I found that like I wanted to be good at it, and I wanted to be really good at it. And so that kind of drove in a bad way at first, and like my temper and being kind of like just, I don't know, hot-headed, like I said. And now
I remember one specific time. We were in the middle of a game. I had just said something to you, and then I immediately shot back and I said, "Don't roll your eyes at me." And you turned, you said, "I didn't roll my eyes." And then afterwards, after the game, you came up to say, "Coach, did I really roll my eyes at you?" And I said, "Yes." She goes, "I never realized I do that." And I said, "Yep, you do it a lot." That was just the first time that I actually said something.
Yeah.
And I think I told your mom that story, and she goes, "Yeah, she doesn't realize it happens," or something along those lines.
Yeah, I definitely learned that the hard way. I've told my husband that story. I was like, I was pulled out of a game. I was like, I was a bad egg for a while, and I said, I really have changed. I don't think I'm as hot headed anymore. And he goes, oh, you're still hot headed, hon, just in a different way. So I guess I'm still that way, but in a more focused,
Yeah.
determined way versus a negative and uh,
Well,
not as
I
positive.
can definitely say that your freshman year, I think you even told me this. You came up to me. It was your senior year, and you came up to me and you were thanking me for the 4 years and stuff, and you said something along the lines of, Coach, my freshman year I was a butt, and but I'm glad that I grew out of that, and we worked together. And I would, and you said something along the lines, I wouldn't be where I'm at today without you and Coach Jen, and and things like that. And I just kind of agreed. I said, yep, you were a butt. And we had a laugh and whatnot, just like now. And but it's true. The first year was a little bit rough, I think. And then I think we just kept moving forward, and you just becoming a much more mature and level-headed, and you saw where things could go
Mhm.
in your career. So that's good, and I think that helped you as well with your career path, in the respect of, because I remember one time that something about the dorms at Behrend, and as an RA, and you were just telling me, like, Coach, kids don't like me because I don't let them get away with anything. And you made a comment. So now I understand. I kind of understand a little bit more where you come from in the respect of why you're telling us we can and can't do things. And it's out of your control. We have rules we have to follow, and whatnot. And I think that's a big component for your career path, and what you've learned here to there. So let me ask you this: you had a lot of moments in your career and a lot of things. Is there any one memorable moment that stuck out?
I think the game, I think it was at Grove City, and it was the game where I scored the most. I beat the record for the most um, scores by a single player in a game. And I remember the person that had it was Spoto Anthony, who you had on Saturday. He was the one that had it, and he was our assistant coach at the time. And I think beating that was probably one of those like moments for me where it just felt good. Like I was like, wow. And I did it while playing center, which like for me, switching to center was hard for me at first. Learning backhanded shots and swoop shots, I was like, what am I doing? And to have played it in that position and to have done it, I think for me that was probably like one of my most memorable.
Yeah, if I'm correct, that game was against Notre Dame. Um, yeah, against Notre Dame College. You scored 9 goals in that game. It was in 2011. And I remember, because the other thing too, we had been working on stepping out and working on the 2 meter stuff and whatnot. And you were fighting me. I remember you just kept fighting me on how to do this. And you're like, it doesn't feel comfortable. It doesn't feel right. And I said, trust me, if you do this, you're going to score 7 goals in one game. I guarantee it. You just got to follow suit. And it was after that game. I think we ended up losing that game 10-9 or
Yeah,
eleven
we
to nine.
lost. We still lost it. Yeah.
We lost 11. I mean, it was a close game, but I think it was like
Yeah.
11, and you had scored all 9 goals. And but you came up to me after the game and you said, Coach, she goes, I get it. I know I see it now. And it just kind of went from there, and you just took off,
Mm-hmm.
and how to play that position. So it felt really good after the game to hear from an athlete that, what I'm telling you is like, hey, this is going to work. You just got to trust in it.
Mm-hmm.
And whatnot. Another memorable moment, and you're not going to like this one. I don't know if you've ever told your husband this story, but I remember calling you one day to tell you that you were an All-American,
Mm-hmm.
and you answered the phone, and you're all joyful, and you're like, hello. And I said, hey, MaryEllen, it's Coach Joe. And you're like, oh, hey, Coach Joe. And I was like, well, You're an All-American. Goodbye.
I wonder what year that was. It might have been one of the years. It might have been my first year, only because I might have been waiting to get the RA job that I didn't get hired at first. So I might have been thinking a phone call from that area code might have been a job offer.
And so I just laughed about that one. And like I said, the scoring of the 9 goals and whatnot. But you had a lot of great moments in there. You met a lot of players over your time. Anybody that sticks out the most that you keep in contact with, or that you enjoyed just being involved with, or whatnot?
Gosh, that's a tough question. I mean, I post going to grad school, I did a very different path than most people, so I got very disconnected from a lot of people. But I would say Annie is probably who I'm closest with, who I still stay connected with. And Annie's also a new mom, semi-new mom. She's been a mom for, I think her baby's like 10 or 11 months now. So Annie is definitely probably someone that I've stayed most connected to. We had our weddings and she came to mine. So did Paula. I stay pretty connected with as well. And those were both people that kind of I was sandwiched between on years of graduating. So, we had a really young team when I was playing water polo. I mean, my senior year, I think everybody was a freshman or sophomore. I think there was maybe one junior during my time, and I was the only senior. So I didn't really play with a lot of people and graduate with a lot of people. So those are the 2 people that I've stayed closest with, just because our paths of life have stayed kind of similar and connected in that way. So
good. Well, MaryEllen, thank you so much. Enjoy the joys of motherhood, and it is, as a father, and I remember when Mackenzie was born, you guys as athletes were so involved in her growth and whatnot. And I mean, I still have some pictures of you teaching Mackenzie how to swim.
Well, see, and that's why she's a backstroker. So she's on the right path.
That's probably also the reason why she's pulling on the lane line too. So
yeah.
But you guys were all involved in Mackenzie's life, and even this year's classes with Michaela being born, and they've all been involved in her life and both of their lives. But thank you so much for taking your time to sit down and talk with us and whatnot, and hopefully people can watch this and learn about you and about Penn State Behrend and see that it's a whole component that we have here. So is there anything else that you would like to say or bring up?
I would just say to take any opportunity you're given, 100%. Like if you go to Behrend, I took every opportunity, and every opportunity took me in a great direction. I was offered to be on SAC, and I did SAC for many years while there, and then was offered to do the speech at graduation, and was not comfortable with speaking in front of that many people, but I said okay and did it. And so all those things have helped. Not that I'm pushing that your resume should develop, but I talk to my students all the time about this, is that you should always think of an opportunity as a way to grow or a way to build your resume. So for me, there's still things, from when I was at Behrend as an athlete, being a female athlete of the year, that's on my resume to this day. Like that's 7-something years ago, but it's important to me. And, talk about my accomplishments that I had there. So
good.
But
well, yeah. I'm Coach Tristan from Penn State Behrend Water Polo. We got MaryEllen Cottle, formerly MaryEllen Spooner, now MaryEllen Cottle. Thank you very much. You have a great day. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you again someday.
Bye. See ya. Thanks.